What's up everybody, Sam from the Football Network. We're back with a new video, and today, as you can see, we're doing an FM 2018 experiment. Now, after the rather bizarre sacking of Marco Silva by Watford in late January 2018, I decided to see how Marco Silva will get on at a top tier European club. Therefore, as you will see, I made him the manager of Borussia Dortmund. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to sim 1 year in the future to the end of the 2017-18 season. We're going to see how he got on as Dortmund manager. If he's still in the job, we'll go another season, see if he can survive a second season potentially. If he hasn't already done, challenge Bayern Munich for the title and maybe even try and get someone somewhere in European competitions. So let's see. Still, we're at the end of the first season. Let's see how Marco Silva has done as Borussia Dortmund manager. So, he's still in the job. How did they finish in the Bundesliga? Let's have a look. So, of course, Bayern Munich won. They only missed out by 4 points. So, if they'd won one of those games they drew and won one of the games they lost, they, of course, would have been champions. That is, to be fair though, for Marco Silva, he's closed the gap to what it usually is. It's usually something like 10 points between Bayern Munich and their closest competitors. But a very good showing from Marco Silva. Let's see what he's done in terms of the actual results. So if you look at the start of the season, he thumped Bayern Munich 3-0 in the Super Cup. Llano and Goetze with the goals there. So we won a bit of silverware. So he drew 1-0. First loss came to Spartak Moscow in the Champions League. Then they lost 2-1 to Bayern Munich. Lost 2-0 to Wolfsburg. Not a good run here. 2-0 draw to Mönchengladbach, I should say. A 1-0 loss to Napoli. A 2-0 loss to Leverkusen. A 2-1 loss to Napoli again in the Champions League. But to be fair, they didn't. They beat Schalke in the derby. And didn't lose again until that was late October. They didn't lose again until late January. They lost 3-2 to Hoffenheim, so a good spell. Thumped Hanover 5-0. Lost to Bayern Munich in the German Cup quarterfinals. They were obviously eliminated from that, but then drew 1-1 with Munich. Drew 2-2 with Tottenham. Mainz, Wolfsburg and Munich, and then again got thumped by Tottenham in the Champions League. 3 straight wins following that, or 2 other wins I should say, Leverkusen and Freiburg, and then they won the remaining games. But I mean, they beat Schalke twice in the league, the 2 times they actually played them. But let's have a look at the more interesting things. Let's look at what transfer business he pulled off. Well, that's a very interesting transfer. Kasper Dolberg for 21.5 million pounds. It could rise to 33.5 million pounds. A very good signing by Marco Silva. Signed in mid-July. Was a kind of sporadic player because he was given a first team contract status. Played 4 times in the Champions League, got a single goal. Had a decent showing in the Bundesliga. 15 appearances, 4 goals, 2 assists. Not bad. I mean, obviously it could be much, much better. 4 appearances, 2 goals in the German Cup. And then he obviously played in the under the European Under-21s Championship qualifying 6. And that's obviously disconnected from Dortmund. But 6 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. It looks like it's been an okay signing, but I'm sure not the success that Marco Silva would have wanted out of his big signing. In terms of sales, any people actually probably sold? No, the only person who actually probably left the club, sort of, was Eric Durm on a loan where Leverkusen. So they do have an option to pay £3.2 million to buy him permanently, but they paid 92 grand in monthly fees. How did he get on for Leverkusen? played 21 games in total, 2 assists, got a 6.69, so was pretty average. Only won 67% of his tackles, but got 75% passing accuracy in the Bundesliga, so not spectacular. I would be slightly surprised if Leverkusen did make his move permanent. But, you know, if it looks like Marco Silva wants to get rid of Eric Durm, so he could leave permanently to maybe a different club. Any other players I wonder who've... let me just see if there's any other... Nope. What do we have a look to get rid of? Obviously, so Peter Bosch, and so the under-19s coach left to join Munich. So obviously, so he brought in quite a few members of staff. Obviously brought along his fitness coach from Watford. Stole Laurent Booster, I think is how you saying that name, a scout from Leverkusen. Any future transfers that'll go through? The only one that'll go through is Park Jo-ho will be leaving to join Watford, actually Marco Silva's former club, on a free contract. So he made a single sub appearance in the Bundesliga, so Marco Silva doesn't look like he's very worried about losing him. He made 2 appearances in the cup, I should say, and played reasonably well. Let's finally have a look at the youth players he brought in. So if we could go to Chendu Etafia, I think is how you would say that name, is what seems like their best youngster. 14 years old, 14s in finishing, first touch, natural fitness, acceleration, 15s, decisions, agility, a 17 in teamwork, 13 composure, 13s also in off the ball work rate, 12 in pace. So he looks like a very good little striker for the future. I am going to quickly use the editor to have a look. So he's got an 86 current ability and 158 potential ability. If we quickly go back to the history, let's have a look at some of these other guys. You got Marius Drexler, who looks bang average, if not slightly worse for a keeper. I mean, look at that potential and current ability. Okay, Tim Ballmer has got some really nice mentals. 15s in flair, decisions, 16 termination, 12 work rate. That's 15 rounds in 12, but he looks, I mean, he's got 12 passing, but that's about it. He's got 118, so he's become an okay player, maybe for a lower league. And lower league, I mean, kind of relegation fighting Bundesliga side. Tim Doe, again, some okay looking mentals. Again, if we have a look at his 128, so again, could definitely improve. I mean, he's second best we've looked at. Matt Daniels, a couple of nice mental attributes. 13 technique, 12 passing, a defensive midfielder. 131 is his potential ability. We've looked at Chendu, Pierre Atamangana maybe. Free kicks are really nice at 13. Some pretty nice mentals, but then obviously it's the rest of technical stats that will let him down. So down you have 111 potential ability. Lars Sitten, free kicks, another player with some nice free kicks, a right back. Decisions, some nice mentals, 13 teamwork and 16 work rate. 16 natural fitness, which is really what you want in a right back. 108 though. So only a few more to go. I'm just going through to show you guys what kind of youngsters they've brought in this season. Looks pretty average. This guy, Benjamin Spinrath, to me is how you probably say it. Looks really bad. looks like he'd probably barely do well in the second Bundesliga. Daniel Holtz, again, like a lot of them, really nice mentals in some departments. 14 to 2 with 14 leadership. But I'm going to guess he's probably got awful 120. That's not terrible, it's not fantastic. Ole King, fantastic name, awful stats. He's not even a quick winger, so not exactly what you want from this kid. Again, his potential really reflects that. Michael Sievers maybe? Or Michelle Sievers maybe? Again, another kind of okay at the most youngster. Sven Benzel, I should say. I don't know why I was thinking of Sven Bender. An attacking midfielder. Another one who, I mean, like you get a lot with regens, some okay looking technicals for their age, but then again, obviously when you look at their mentals, you realise he's bang average. And the final player, Giovanni Buffano, I think is how you'd say that guy's name. Another right back, again not quick, nice determination, really nice bravery, nice leadership, and nice work rate. Free kicks, another player with nice free kicks, and 98. So, what we'll quickly have a look at is, of course, Dortmund have got Champions League football next season. Let's quickly jump through. Come on, Champions Cup. We'll have a look at two quick things. We'll have a look at who won the Champions Cup. Tottenham Hotspur won the Champions League by beating Chelsea 2-1 in extra time. Wow. That's incredible. Tottenham Hotspur won the Champions League. What about the European Cup? That's the European Champions Cup. Where's the Euro Cup? That's what it is. Arsenal. So a good season for North London. They beat Liverpool on penalties in the Europa League final. So as I said, a very good year for North London clubs. What we'll also have a look at actually quickly is, because we saw that Dortmund got knocked out in the German Cup. RB Leipzig won that by beating Braunschweig, maybe, who I think are a second division side. Fair play to them for getting through to the final of the cup. Who have they beat on the way? They beat Bayer Leverkusen in the semi-finals. They beat Wolfsburg. They beat Freiburg. A couple of pretty good to okay sides they beat in the lead up to the final of the German Cup. But there we go. That's Marco Silva's first season in charge of Borussia Dortmund. Let's have a look and see how he gets on in his second season at the Westfalenstadion. So we're at the end of the 2018-19 season. Let's have a look and see how Marco Silva has done in his second season with Borussia Dortmund. Has he managed to challenge or maybe even beat Bayern Munich to the title? Has he won any European competitions? Let's have a look. So, Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund. So, as I can see up here, they finished second. Marco Silva's still manager. Let's see. So, yeah, unsurprisingly, Bayern Munich again won the league. 6 points ahead of Dortmund, and Dortmund themselves are 6 points ahead of RB Leipzig. Some of the standout players. So we look at top goal scorers. Moussa Dembele got 24 goals. Kevin Volland got 22. Aubameyang got 21 goals. What else? Average ratings: Yarmolenko, Lewandowski, and Aubameyang. Assists: Sabitzer got that with 15. Thiago Alcantara, a Dortmund player. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Tied with Max Meyer on 12. Dembele again got 8 player of the matches. Wallace got the most yellow cards. Neuer with 19 clean sheets. Timo Horn of Leverkusen. Bernard Llano, we'll have a look at that in a minute as well. He's also apparently a Dortmund player now. But as I said, Marco Silva still the manager. Let's have a look how they actually did in terms of the results. So they lost their first game of the season against Hertha Berlin. A 2-1 loss. That's got to annoy them. Alexander Isak, the man, I presume he's probably on loan. Yeah, on loan at Hertha Berlin. Scored against Borussia Dortmund. That's got to annoy him. Then they had some good results. Lost to Monaco and Hanover in quick succession. Monaco in the Champions League, I can kind of understand because I guess, would probably have quite a strong side in the 2018-19 season. But Hanover, who are a side who traditionally have been fighting relegation in the Bundesliga. Then they beat Hamburg and drew with Tottenham. They then lost to FC Cologne, another side who are famously between mid-table and usually sometimes battling relegation. They lost 3-2 there. Then they didn't lose again until for about a month. And then they lost in the derby against Schalke. When was their next loss? The next loss wasn't much further on. Another loss in the Champions League to Monaco. Then they went about 3 weeks without a loss, and then they travelled to the Allianz Arena in the German Cup, again losing to Bayern Munich. That's the second season in a row they haven't been able to get past Bayern Munich in the German Cup. Then they didn't lose again until the game with RB Leipzig in late March, and that was their last loss in the league. So all their league defeats came before Christmas, apart from the loss to Leipzig. You can see here they actually beat Man City in the Champions League, but then, God, you've got to feel bad for Marco Silva in this save. Every kind of cup competition he's got to, he's faced Bayern Munich. I mean, for the last 2 seasons he's faced Bayern in the Cup, and this season he got knocked out by Bayern Munich in the Champions League. But a very strong end to the season, to be fair to him. Beat Bayern, beat Wolfsburg, and beat Leverkusen. So let's have a look at the really interesting things, the transfers. We already know 2 transfers that he made. So we'll have a look at Bernard Llano first. How much was he brought in for? £28.5 million. Played 34 games. Conceded 33 goals. Got 13 clean sheets. To be fair, as we saw, he was second in the kind of table in terms of clean sheets behind Manuel Neuer. In the Champions League, 10 appearances, 13 conceded, 2 clean sheets. So it looks like he was a pretty successful signing. 3 appearances though and 5 conceded, 1 clean sheet in the German Cup. So it looks like, I mean, for £38.5 million in today's market, for a goalkeeper who gets you 13 clean sheets in the space of a season, he'd probably save them on a few occasions. I think he will probably be seen as a very good signing from Marco Silva. But this looks like the season where they really spent some proper cash. Michael Barasaz, maybe? I'm going to guess that's how you probably say this kid's name. 15-year-old winger. Very quick, but nothing else of substance. Let's have a look at, let's use the editor, have a look. 74 current ability, 118 potential ability. Oh, he's not going to do very, very well. He's like a lot of the youth players that Marco Silva I'm guessing it was probably the director of football actually brought in last season. Not very good. This seems to be a big one. Thiago Alcantara, how much do they bring him in? 43.5 million pounds, rising to 62 million pounds for the Spaniard. 27 appearances, one off with the 28th coming off the bench, I should say. 8 goals, 12 assists. 2.25 dribbles per game, 50% shots on target, 77% passing accuracy, which for a player of Thiago Alcantara's quality, I would expect more, especially from considering what he's done in the past in terms of his accuracy into the passing. Tackling 61%, I can kind of understand that because he is a more attacking-minded midfielder. I mean, he does have that 12 tackling, I should say. So maybe should be doing better. 10 appearances in the Champions League, 2 goals, 2 assists, and then 3 appearances in the German Cup, 0 goals and 0 assists. So he looks like he was a very good signing. Maybe not absolutely phenomenal, but a very good signing nevertheless from Marco Silva. Who we got? Tony Llano, a German striker. Not blisteringly quick, I should say. But you know, he's definitely got potential. I mean, he's got 12 in off the ball and decisions, a 13 in anticipation. Very nice technicals. 15 dribbling, 13 finishing, 14 first touch. What's his potential? 152. So it looks like it was a decent little signing for from Marco Silva. £750,000 rising to £1.6 million. I should have said Barasaz 1.6 million. So they're going to pay less in the long run for Llano. Is actually a better player. Finally, Yusuf Poulsen. I just saw there for £32 million from RB Leipzig. Rotation. So let's have a look what he's done. Not much. 4 appearances off the bench, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 appearances off the bench in the Champions League, and 1 appearance in the German Cup with a single assist. So, considering he was bought for such a high price, I would expect a lot better from Yusuf Poulsen. However, obviously that does come down to how he's used by Marco Silva. It looks like Marco Silva didn't trust him at all to play him in the Bundesliga. That's what I was trying to say. In fact, what we're quickly going to have a look at is, where is Kasper Dolberg? Berkey's actually still here, so maybe they brought him in to replace Weidenfeller. Right, where is Kasper Dolberg? How did he get on this season? So 21 assists, 5 goals, a single assist, 4 appearances, including 2 with 2 starting, 2 off the bench in the Champions League. No goals, no assists, and 1 assist in the German Cup. So he hasn't had a spectacular season either. But he's again gone down to rotation role. So it looks like Marco Silva's 2 big striking signings in the past 2 seasons from Danish players. I was going to say from Leverkusen, but only Poulsen's from Leverkusen. But the 2 Danish players have not done very much for Marco Silva's Borussia Dortmund. But I think it's fair to say that Thiago Alcantara and Bernardo Llano were very successful signings. It's a lot of money to pay for them, of course. I mean, that's roughly around 70 odd million pounds for these 2 players. But they've paid that money back. I can see where they got part of the money for it. I've only just looked. Christian Pulisic has moved to Manchester City. How much did he? £52 million, rising to £58 million. Of course, Dortmund actually faced City in the Champions League. How did he get on for City? 5 appearances, 13 off the starting, I should say. 13 appearances off the bench, 1 assist, 2 sub-appearances in the Champions League, 1 in the Carabao Cup. And again, it looks like he hasn't done very well whatsoever. And he hasn't won anything with Manchester City. So you've got to say it's early. It's quite early days for Pulisic at the Etihad, but he's not done well at all. Any other? So Eric Durm left on a permanent. He went to Werder Bremen for, how much was that? £2.2 million. How's he done? 32 appearances, a single goal, a single assist. To be fair, for a side like Werder Bremen, I mean, are they in the? I couldn't see. Yeah, they are still in the Bundesliga. I mean, for a player who, I mean, for a player of his kind of quality and his experience, for a side like Werder Bremen, £2.2 million is a pretty good bargain. But you've got to expect that, or you've got to think, I should say, that he didn't really want him at the club. Patrick Pluki, I'm going to guess, 22-year-old attacking midfielder, joined Bielefeld for, how much did he join them for? £165,000 right into 220. 10 appearances in total, 0 goals, 0 assists, pretty average. But I mean, for a player who, I mean, let's quickly have a look at Bielefeld. Was he kind of their marquee signing? He was the player they paid the most amount of money for. I mean, and for a player who really didn't do anything for them, you've got to expect more. Who else have we got? So obviously we saw last season that Park Yoho went to Watford on a free transfer. Mohamed Dahoud was loaned out to Cologne, and Sebastian Roda was also loaned out to Mainz. Let's have a look at how they did. So he was loaned out to Cologne, as I said. 13 appearances, 2 assists. Had a reasonably okay season in Cologne. I mean, do they have an option to buy? Nope. So he's going to be returning to Dortmund. It's just obviously a question of how he actually does, because as I said, it looks like he did okay at Cologne. What about Sebastian Roda? Roda, 14 appearances, a single assist, or single appearance I should say, so 15 in total. 2 goals, a single assist. Again, another player who did okay. Mainz do have the option of making it permanent for £3.56 million. I mean, yeah, he's done okay again out on loan. I guess the thing is that with bringing in Thiago Alcantara, I guess Marco Silva's probably thought that he's got such quality in that midfield. Of course, I'm guessing he's still got the likes of Goetz, I was going to call him Goretzka. Kagawa's still here, Weigel's still here, Sahin's still here. There's a lot of very talented players still at the Westfalenstadion. So I get why he's loaning them out. In terms of, yeah, I could probably see Might probably making that a permanent transfer, but I would expect probably Dahoud to get loaned out again. I mean, they only went out on loan in January, but I could probably see Dahoud being sold again, or maybe even out on loan. Any future transfers? Let's have a look. Nope, no one leaving on free transfers. Finally, let's have a look at the youth players. So we've got Joel Alawai, I think. Bang average, if not awful, in terms of his technicals. There are some good mentals here. I mean, 14 leadership, 16 teamwork, and 12 work rate with 11s in determination, concentration. A 9-1, I should say, a 91. So he's pretty average for kind of a. Probably he's barely getting in the side in a kind of relegation fighting Bundesliga 2 side. Mustafa Atis, again 11's in determination, 11 in flair, a 12 teamwork, 13's in balance and natural fitness, 14 free kick taken and 13 dribbling. I don't know what it is, but in this save we seem to get a lot of youngsters coming through the Dortmund Academy that have really good free kicks. He's got a 97 potential ability, so another bang average player. Jens Rajiski, I think. His mentals look pretty good. Another defence midfielder. If you remember, they brought in quite a few last year in terms of the youngsters. 16 bravery, 14 determination, also 14 in leadership, 13 in teamwork. 2 pretty nice physicals for 13 in natural fitness and stamina. 13 free kick taking. Another player with really good free kick taking. 13 technique and 12 tackling. A 1-5-1 potential ability. He looks like and one of their kind of bright youngsters in terms of the defensive midfield. Benjamin Depert, another defensive midfielder. Again, some pretty nice mental stats. 17 in aggression, 13 in decisions and positioning, 12 in teamwork, 14 leadership, only 11 heading there, and a 14 natural fitness. He looks like he could be maybe a 120, I'm going to guess, or 115. So obviously, my guess they'll be going with Jens in terms of a really good, high-quality young defensive midfielder in the future. Patrick Nachigol, I'm awful with pronouncing names. 14 jumping reach, 12 for pace and stamina, 11s for acceleration and agility, 11s in teamwork and vision, 13 in work rate, then 14 in determination, and 16 bravery. A left back, what's he got? A 149, so he's also a decent little youngster in terms of his potential ability. Then we've got Nico Kilnetsky, perhaps, an attacking midfielder. Okay in terms of how quick he is. Awful in terms of his physical and mentals. I'm going to guess he's probably maybe an 80. A 130, he's barely going to improve whatsoever. So I don't know why they've properly signed him. Toya Okal. Some nice mental stats. 15 in work rate, 12 teamwork, 13 determination, decisions I should say, 17 bravery, 13 natural fitness, 11 first touch, another defensive midfielder for Borussia Dortmund, a 115 again. We're going to go with Ruud Diaz as the last one, because I believe he's seen as kind of their, highest potential youngster. We've got Michael Mputu, another defensive midfielder. Bloody hell, what is it with Borussia Dortmund producing young defensive midfielders? 15s for decisions and aggression, 13 for anticipation, 19 bravery, 12 determination, 11s in vision and work rate, 15 natural fitness, another 12 for jumping reach, and 11 for stamina. Again, another very, very physically 130's potential ability. Another mentally and physically rather strong player, but again, in terms of technicals, not what you want. And finally, their highest profile, or higher profile, best youngster I should say, Ruud Diaz. Wow, this kid looks good. 14s in pace and agility for his physical attributes, 15 flair, 17 determination, 13s in technique and heading and free kick taking, another player with incredible free kick taking, 15 first touch and 11 corners, still only 14 years old. So it looks like they signed him from Atcaros, perhaps, a Portuguese side, and he's got a 137. So he's actually not. Hang on, am I wrong? No, apparently he's their highest he's their hot prospect, but their other player, where is he? Which one was it? Jens is potentially going to be a better player. So, I mean, actually, maybe it's because he's got a higher potential, or higher current, actually. 75 compared to Ruiz. Compared to Ruiz's 78. He's only slightly the better player at the moment, but definitely Jens looks like he's going to become the better defensive midfielder. So that is 2 seasons of Marco Silva as the Borussia Dortmund manager. I think you'll agree, guys, he seems to have had a good season, a good 2 seasons I should say, but I think some of the transfers have not worked out how he potentially wanted, mainly the signings of Dolberg and Yusuf Poulsen. But I think there's definitely room for improvement potentially in his side. I mean, especially with some of the signings he made. I mean, Llano's performed spectacularly. He could be potentially Dortmund's goalkeeper for the next at least 5 years, maybe even a decade. Losing Pulisic, kind of one of their best players, is obviously a big loss, but he's not seemed to have done very well for them at Manchester City. Before we go, we'll have a look at 3 more things. First, we will have a look at who won the Europa League, Champions League, and the World Cup. So Tottenham won the Europa League, beating Arsenal 3-0 in the final. So North London derby in the final of the Europa League. Last year's Champions League winners overcoming last year's Europa League winners. What did we have a look at the Champions League? Where are we? European Champions Cup. Juventus beat Bayern Munich in the final. Buffon claiming their first... Juventus, I should say, claiming their first Champions League. I believe it's their first Champions League. Let me just quickly check. Champions League. They're the third Champions League, I should say, but their first one in many years. Let me quickly have a look at that win over. He's not in there, so obviously because I believe Buffon's already programmed in to actually retire, but Szczesny was the goalkeeper for the day for their Champions League triumph. Okay, the final thing we're going to have a look at the World Cup. World Cup. Mexico won the World Cup, beating Austria in the final. Incredible. Let's quickly have a look at the World Cup fixtures and results. So who was in the semi-finals? So England won the third place playoff, beating Spain. Lingard, Harry Kane scoring after. Kane's getting a brace in the extra time, I should say. So Austria thumped England 4-1, and Mexico beat Spain on penalties. Let's see who. So Croatia, Uruguay were also in the quarterfinals. Argentina got knocked out by Austria, and Ghana got to the quarters. So a pretty exciting World Cup. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this little experiment, seeing how Marco Silva would do as Borussia Dortmund manager. We went on a bit of a tangent at the end there, looking at the World Cup, Europa League and Champions League winners. But I think it's fair to say that Marco Silva, as I said, has done a good job at Dortmund, and he's got the kind of players that mean he can definitely push on that side. I mean, obviously you've got Weigl, Götze is still an incredible player. Royce is still a great player. Yarmolenko. They've got so many incredible players that, I mean, if he makes a few more clever signings like Thiago Alcantara and Bernard Llano, could potentially challenge Munich, I should say, even closer than they were last season, to become champions. And, I mean, they've got to hope if they want to win a trophy, if they can't overcome Dortmund, or I keep saying Dortmund, overcoming Bayern Munich in the league, and the likes of Munich and Juventus, etc. in the Champions League, they've got to hope that they get someone other than Bayern Munich in the third round of the German Cup. So, I hope you enjoyed. As I said, Sam from the Football Network signing out. I'll see you guys next time, where we might do another experiment. See you guys.